Hello and welcome back to Branded. I'm your host, Sarah. Today's episode is a reframe. So stay with me, even if your first instinct is to push back a little bit. You're not overwhelmed. I know it feels like overwhelm. I know it presents like overwhelm, but what you're actually experiencing is something more specific than overwhelm. And the reason I want to make this distinction is that overwhelm and what you're actually dealing with have completely different solutions. So if you keep solving for the wrong one, you're going to keep ending up in the same place. So today we're going to slow down and actually look at what's happening. Overwhelm is a volume problem, right? There's too much to do, not enough time, not enough capacity. So the solution to overwhelm is subtraction. You do less, you delegate more, you clear your plate, and that works when volume is actually the issue. But here's the thing. You could clear half of your to-do list right now and you would still feel that same pressure, that same anxious hum in the back of your mind, and the sense of being pulled in 10 directions at once. That's not going to go away because the thing you're carrying isn't necessarily a list of tasks. It's awareness of how many of those tasks are only done because you do them. An awareness like that, it doesn't get cleared by doing less. So, no, you're not overwhelmed by the volume of your business. You're overwhelmed by the exposure. Let me describe it a little bit and maybe it'll land for you. You see everything in your business, not because you're a micromanager, but because you're the one who built it. So you know how it works. You know where the gaps are. You know which automations are shaky, which pages haven't been updated, and which email sequences still reference an offer you changed 6 months ago. You know these things. You're copied on all the things, not because you asked to be, but because at some point you really needed to be. And nobody, including you, ever went back to change it. So nothing fully resolves without your awareness touching it at some point, right? A purchase comes in and part of your brain registers it and runs a really quick mental checklist. Did the automation fire correctly? Does the client have what they need? Is there anything else that I need to do? And usually the answer is no, but you're still checking because you always check because not checking feels like the thing that might let something slip through the cracks. And you're not doing all of this consciously. Most of it happens in the background. It's a low level awareness that follows you into your evenings, your weekends, and your vacations. The reason you can't fully be somewhere else, even when you're physically somewhere else, it's not exactly anxiety or even stress, it's exposure. You're wired into every layer of the business, and your nervous system is running it all in the background, whether you asked it to or not. So, this really isn't a you problem. This is a structure problem, but it's living in your body like a you problem, which is why it's easy to misread as overwhelm. But here's where it gets because you've probably tried to fix this multiple times in multiple ways. You've tried doing less, taking things off your plate, saying no more. And it helped for a minute. But then the plate was filled back up and you're right back where you started. You tried being more organized, setting up better systems for managing your time blocking, batching, calendaring everything within an inch of your life. And that helped for a minute, but the hum didn't go away because that hum isn't about how you manage your time. It's about how much of the business still requires your attention to function. You might have tried stepping back, telling yourself to just trust the process, stop checking, let things run. So you do that for a little while. And then something comes up that requires your attention and confirms what part you already knew, right? It still needs you. And now you're back to checking because not checking is just pretending that it's working. But none of these solutions actually touch the real problem because the real problem isn't how you're managing yourself. It's how the business is asking you to run it, right? It's what the business is asking of you. And until that changes, nothing you do about how you manage yourself will make more than a temporary difference. So all of a sudden, you realize that being highly capable to take on any and all tasks is actually the reason your business can't run without you. Because let's be honest here, you're good at this. You're genuinely good at holding a lot of things in your head and keeping them moving. You've built something real, and part of how you built it is being the kind of person who notices things, catches things, fixes things before they become problems. But this capability is also the reason you've been able to tolerate this level of exposure for as long as you have. Quite honestly, most people would have hit a wall a lot sooner. The disorganization would have shown up in ways that forced them to deal with it. But you're too good at compensating. You catch the thing before it becomes visible. You fix it before the client notices. You adjust before the launch is affected. And so the business looks fine. It runs fine. Nobody can see the exposure you're carrying because your competence continues to absorb it. But absorbing it has a cost. And that cost is not always very obvious. It shows up as heaviness at the end of the day when you hoped to just feel good about the work you did that day. It's the reason you can't fully rest even when you have the time to rest. It's the low level sense of being behind that follows you even when you're technically caught up. It's the reason a week away still doesn't fully recharge you because part of you never actually left. So you're paying a competence tax. It's expensive and it's invisible. So, how do we deal with this overexposure? Two ways. You either manage it or you remove it. Managing it looks like getting better at handling the load. You've got better routines, better habits, better systems for how you personally deal with the weight of being wired into everything. This is what most of the productivity advice out there is designed to help you do. So it's not useless, but it's also not the solution. It's a coping mechanism, and coping has a ceiling. But removing exposure looks different. It means looking at each place the business still requires your awareness to function and asking, does it need me here or does it need to be rebuilt so I don't need to be here? Does it require my attention because it's genuinely mine to hold or because nobody ever built it well enough to hold itself? How you answer these questions leads to different kinds of work. And it's not the work of managing yourself better. It's the work of building the business to carry more of its own weight. Because the exposure you're experiencing right now, it is not permanent. It's not some personality trait that is just going to live with you forever. It's not the price of caring about your business. It's a structural reality that has a structural solution. So maybe you built the business fast. You made good decisions under pressure. You got it to work. Now it works, but it works because you're watching it. And let's be real, you're fucking tired of watching it. And that tiredness isn't weakness, it's information. It's telling you that you've outgrown the level of exposure your current infrastructure requires of you. So when that exposure is removed, it's not that you're checking out of your business. Bye. You stopped caring about it. You stopped paying attention. No, it's that the attention you give is chosen rather than required. You think about your business because you want to, because something interesting is happening and you're excited about it. Not because the background mental list check that you're running, you got to make sure nothing's breaking. You step away and the business keeps moving without you needing to know every step it's taking. So you come back to an update, not a repair list. You open your laptop without that low level brace for what you might find. You send traffic to your sales page without that quiet wish that you'd updated it first. You launch without managing the back end from the front end. You're in your business, but you're no longer the glue holding it together. That's the difference. And it's available to you. It just requires building infrastructure, not managing yourself harder, not tolerating the exposure better, actually removing it by building the thing to run without needing you wired into every single layer. So if you've been trying to solve this by getting better at handling it, I want you to consider that you might be solving the wrong thing. You don't need to handle it better. You need less of it to handle. One keeps you in the loop, just managing it more gracefully. The other actually ends that loop. So, no, you're not overwhelmed. You're overexposed. And exposure is fixable, not by doing less, but by building the thing so it requires less of you. That's the work. And you probably already know that's the work. You've probably known it for a while. The only question is when you're going to decide that now is the time to do something about it. Share this episode with a business owner who thinks they're overwhelmed. Perhaps it's overexposure. I'll see you next week for a brand new episode. Bye, guys.